Hey guys, real quick, we want to give you a heads up. This video has some imagery as well as some sounds of violence from the recent protests, so just be warned. We also want to let you know there is a podcast out now that you can listen to about the protests, and tomorrow we will be releasing a follow-up episode, July 4th, exploring the idea of whiteness, and I will be talking to my family about how they are perceiving this moment. So give it a listen. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid when I see the police every single time because I don't know what that interaction is going to lead to.
The main entrance to the police station is now in flames.
My name's Brian. I'm 28 years old. I'm a police officer in Michigan. I've been doing this for 4 years.
My name is Gloria. I'm with the Youth Justice Coalition based in LA, and I'm 24 years old.
My name is Dorian, 30 years old, from Compton, California. I'm a peace officer.
My name is Will. I'm 42 years old. I'm a former police officer. I did that for about 18 years.
My name is Ethan. I'm 19 years old. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm a junior supply chain management major from Howard University.
So my name is Hennessy. I am 22 years old. I'm from New York City, and I'm just a simple protester.
Turn your camera off if this is not true for you. I've witnessed police brutality.
I mean, it's happened more than one time, and the two times that it's happened, it's been because I've been pulled over, because I've been with my friends that have like tattoos, and just like being told to get on the ground, like just listening to the officers' demands and still being pushed to the ground, but also seeing officers get really upset if you begin to like ask for an attorney or a lawyer.
I mean, when I was attending the Indianapolis protest for Drayshawn Reed, when after the protest, when I was going to my car, I was seen by 4 officers, but I see my car, so my car over here across the street. So I'm just like, excuse me, officers, like there was about 4 of them. So I was like, I'm trying to get to my car. And they were like, no, go home. And one of them pushed me, which I seen as unnecessary. So I did push them back, which is something I shouldn't have done. Now look at it, but like me getting pushed back and then get pepper sprayed, I seen that as, kind of overuse of force.
Growing up, my best friend was Hispanic and had cousins that were troublemakers and gangs. So on a few occasions, the gang squad in the city I grew up in would pull us over, pull everybody out, kind of manhandle us. There was another time where it's not excessive force, but I was a victim of a robbery, and I knew the suspect, and I was, a juvenile, and made a police report, and nothing ever came of it. So just remembering that when I got older and became a police officer, that you want to be treated fairly, and you also have to treat people fairly.
So I've never witnessed it, but I've been in plenty of situations where there's a dog pile on the ground. You have to apprehend somebody. It's a lawful arrest, and they want to put up a fight. But if I ever see anything where someone's continuing to apply pressure or, give a knee or something, push them away. Say, hey, we're good. We got him in custody, and that's the end of it. And the George Floyd case is huge. You see those officers just standing around. I don't understand why none of them ripped that guy off his back.
This is more a question for the officers. Do you approve of some of the crowd control tactics that you've seen in the videos of these protests?
We are okay with your First Amendment right to protest. That's what this country is built on. But you do have provocateurs, you do have agitators in the crowd. To me, it just doesn't seem like everything is always peaceful, no matter what, and then it just goes to shit. So I don't know. I'm okay with some, but I'm not okay with others.
I don't know, as a protester, I'm just not sure if for any protest, even if it gets a little more like loud and I guess a little.
Loud is not a problem. Chaos is the problem.
I just don't know if it's like appropriate to use tear gas or rubber bullets. Tear gas can actually kill someone. It agitates asthma. And rubber bullets can cause serious damage depending on where you hit. It made one woman go blind. You know what I mean? I just don't know if that's like appropriate.
I'm perfectly okay with that. My only problem is, give me a solution. What other things do you think that we should do as opposed to that, minus de-escalating? Because de-escalation requires cooperation. If I'm telling you, hey, let's bring it down, you're not listening to me, then it's not effective, right? Because we have to maintain order. That is kind of my that's my profession. That's my job.
Looting and destruction of property are acceptable parts of protesting.
I think it is acceptable. And I know I'll be challenged for this at every single stage, but I think that, one, we need to recognize that we're on stolen land. Two, we need to recognize that folks that have been completely robbed and stolen from their land, their people, their roots. And I think that what people need to really, instead of focusing and putting all that hate on people that are looting, think about what caused all that anger.
So when I went to my protest, it was really peaceful until about 9 or 10. That's when you see people like starting to throw stuff at buildings. And it really is, people are just mad and people are frustrated. They're trying to get their anger out. And you will see destruction and you will see violence because people are tired of being unheard. And it's not something I condone, but it's something that will happen because of this. People that do it also, a lot of the times looters just be trying to hit licks. I got to be honest. I see people that just take advantage of the situation, that people are like breaking this stuff, be like, oh, I'm about to go hit that bank real quick. I'm about to hit that store real quick. So for Black people out there, please do not loot because they're going to put you as the thugs and they're going to make it seem like you're the bad guy at the end of the day. When white people loot, they're going to call them employees and Antifa. When Black people loot or Black people rob, they're going to call us thugs. And it just feeds into the racist narrative that in turn is just going to come and just make us look worse.
There's a lot of people who don't understand the struggle of Black community. They don't understand how life is living in an inner city. I didn't. I grew up in a suburb and it was like 98% white. I was very sheltered. But I'll say for all the people who are sheltered out there, and it's probably the vast majority of America, it's going to be really hard for them to sympathize and empathize with the Black Lives Matter movement when they start seeing looters, when they start seeing buildings burning. They're just going to think, oh, wow, like you guys are acting ridiculous. But your voice is very powerful.
It's important for folks to remember that this is not a moment. This is a movement. Folks are uprising because they're tired and sick and tired of the same things happening over and over and over again, right? Looting might not be right? But like I said, if it's not right, what about when folks were enslaved? What about all the gold that was taken? What about all these things? What about the land, right? So no, I do stand in solidarity with folks that are doing the looting, that are doing the uprisings, that are in the protests, because there's layers to this.
The recent protests are risking lives and likely spreading COVID-19.
At the end of the day, you gotta see it for what it is. And it is a whole lot of people standing together. Even though I do see as a just cause, and I went to protest myself, I think it's a just cause and I'm doing right for my people. But at the end of the day, you just gotta see it for what it is, and it could potentially spread COVID. Just as Trump rallies can spread COVID, just as people opening their businesses can spread COVID, just as people opening restaurants can spread COVID.
I get it. I understand the protests. I understand why people are tired. I understand that people are tired of being tired. So, I mean, if it's a risk they're willing to take, by all means. And you, at the end of the day, will reap the consequences or the benefits of your decision.
Of course, you can probably likely to get sick from COVID-19, but there are also people giving out PPE and, they're encouraging everyone to wear masks. And a lot of protests, even though it doesn't tend to happen, they do advertise, hey, can you stay 6 feet apart? That'd be great. I would rather fight for something I believe in and die for what I believe in.
People want to always shut down people power, and they always want to make sure that we're like, oh, now it's like it's your fault. You all are making sure that the pandemic is thriving. No, let's look at it as a whole. Let's look at how law enforcement officers are not wearing any masks, right? And I saw it firsthand because when I was arrested again, the officers doing intake, the officers doing processing, the officers on the bus were not wearing any masks. And when we asked them, why are you not wearing a mask? We're wearing masks. And they were like, oh, we're 6 feet apart from you all. No, you're not. You're asking me where my number is to book me. So let's look at that, and let's also bring that out to the media too.
Hold on. One thing. I don't wear a mask. When I'm going on duty, I don't wear a mask, and that's my personal choice. I am also not going to look at you and say, hey, you over there, why are you not wearing a mask? I'm not going to do that. That is your personal choice. That is you. I do know that I've seen people try to switch the narrative, but that's from the media. That's not normal people. Media is not normal people. Most normal people are not going to be complaining that you don't have a mask.
No, I perfectly understand that. I'm just saying that a lot of people watch the media, and so then they'll portray these protests, right, very different. And so just like you said, right, you don't wear a mask, right? That's fine. I do think you should wear a mask for your safety because it is a pandemic, and to me, it is real. And I want to respect other people's space and other people's opinions. I do want to make sure that I had a mask just to keep people safe.
Law enforcement in the US has become too militarized.
One or two things need to occur. There needs to be reform, or there needs to be a demilitarization. A lot of these instances occur because police have using their firearm unjustly. So let's take the case of Rashard Brooks, for example. It all started because he was asleep at a McDonald's. It was something so light that ended with him getting shot in the back. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's like, why do these things get escalated so much where these things have to occur, where lethal force has to occur? You could have chased him. You could have found him later. Like, at the end of the day, there's other ways around it other than lethal force.
I wanted to go back to what Dorian was bringing up around, like, what do we do? Maybe if officers weren't killing people, maybe that would be a solution. Maybe if in LA County, LAPD wouldn't have killed around 900 people, right? 900 individuals. And when we're talking about over militarization of law enforcement, why is it that there's a helicopter, that you all have SWAT? What type of guns do you all have? All the weapons that you all carry, what's really necessary? Because tax dollars are paying for that.
Maybe we need to clarify what militarization means, right? Because you say that, what weapons are you guys using, right? There are 3 deadly weapons in my vehicle at one time: my service pistol, my shotgun, and my rifle. The other tools that I have are tools that I'm going to use so somebody doesn't end up dying. So my taser, pepper spray, my baton. Granted, can we be trained better? Absolutely. I don't train that often. I should. But when you say that it's over militarized, I'm not understanding what that means. I don't use military weapons.
So I just want to point out that we as police officers, we don't want to kill people. That's not our objective. We want everyone to go home safely. I've been in multiple situations where I have had my gun on pointed at somebody. And I'll point out one example. There's a drunk guy behind the wheel, stopped at a green light. He has a gun right there in the passenger seat. He keeps reaching for his gun, keeps reaching for it. And thank God that I didn't shoot him. I could have legally shot him. He was so close to picking up that gun and pointing it at me. We carry a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol. These are all weapons that the general public has access to as well. If they have access to it, we have to have access to it.
I can remember a couple of the incidents that caused the police departments. It started with the FBI in Miami, where they were outgunned back in the 80s. And that's what caused, I believe, to go to automatic handguns as opposed to revolvers. And then it was the LA bank robberies where those officers were outgunned. And then with all the school shootings, and at the same time, 9/11 hit, and a lot of the local jurisdictions wanted to be able to maintain law and order in case of a terrorist attack and not be outgunned in that circumstance. So I agree with you to a regard that we have become, I wouldn't call it militarized, but we have become more prepared in law enforcement to handle any situation. There are times, and we can throw out numerous, including George Floyd, that had nothing to do with militarization. That was a bad cop.
I wanted to go back to something that was pointed out earlier about SWAT. 80% of SWAT raids, according to the ACLU, are by drug offenses. And I do agree with Ethan that it's not needed the SWAT team is not needed for a drug case. You don't need to shoot someone for dealing drugs, for selling drugs, or for using drugs. I don't think that's really appropriate. I definitely do think race is an issue when it comes to these raids. Statistics have shown that Black and Hispanic people are likely to be incarcerated for these things. And Black people make up only 13% of the population, and Hispanics make up about 18%.
I support defunding the police. And just to make sure everybody whose camera is on, you are in support of defunding the police.
I don't know enough about it, and we do not know what that would look like to defund the police. I'm gonna learn from you guys what your opinions are on that and how you see defunding the police happening.
At the YJC, we're a no cop zone. So we don't work with police. We don't allow police in our space. And we've been calling for 5% of law enforcement's budget, which is a campaign that we have that's about defunding the police. And we do practice transformative justice. We're creating this thing called Community Alternatives to 911, where different folks that have different backgrounds, as in medical backgrounds, are able to support with trauma and sexual assault, mental health. When we think about crime, I think that the worst thing that this brings up sometimes is well, what about the murders? What about the rapists? What about school shootouts, right? If you're getting to the root causes of things, those surface things might or might not expand. And I think using that, taking the money from law enforcement and again, putting that into schools, putting that into parks, putting that into youth development, youth jobs.
I've heard these plans where people will, I would say, minor mental health crises, neighbor disputes, civil. I'm okay if you defund the police, if that means you're taking resources from policing, shifting it to those other departments or whatnot, and having them handle it. So I can go out and get the murderers and the rapists and this and that, the robbers and all that stuff. It's just rhetoric to me is important. When you say defund the police, okay, I'm gonna take that as literal, and then what the hell does that mean other than taking away our budget, having less cops, but we're still dealing with the same amount of workload that we were doing before? You're gonna burn me out.
So I disagree with defunding the police. I do completely agree. You need more money being pumped into these resources, especially in these inner cities. The school system's a joke, and it's all over the nation. Why is it that I got to go to a school where I had all these sports programs that were completely paid for, and I had a business club I got to be a part of? These other communities don't have that, and it's not fair. But defunding the police, I also think is a bad idea, because if you just take money away, the problems aren't going to solve themselves immediately. So I think money's going to have to come from elsewhere. I mean, you look at all these monopolies getting away with tax evasion in our country. That's disgusting in itself. Why are these huge corporations getting away with so much? They're getting richer and richer and richer. Meanwhile, the people at the very bottom, the low income, are just going to keep getting stepped on unless things change from the top.
You got to remember that if you want the best and the brightest police officers, you got to pay for it. And also, you start taking away funding from police departments and cities, those extras that really help, like the advocates and the assistants and those social workers, they're going to be the first to go. And it's going to be the patrol officers that stay. 2011, 2012, Governor Christie took away money from New Jersey. Camden was forced to cut 20% of its budget. The Washington Post did a great article on this. And what happened is they had a strong police union, so they went in and got rid of the police by taking away the whole department, brought in a county sheriff's department to cover it. Crime went down because they did the whole broken window theory. But what did go up was excessive force complaints. So the numbers are always skewed, but at the end of the day, it took the activists and it took the citizens working with the police to get both the crime down and to get the use of force and the police officer complaints down.
Now, I think Dorian hit it spot on, because if this was to occur, maybe relocating these resources elsewhere where people won't always have to feel like, oh, I'm going to call the police, every situation. We got people, you got Karens up in Manhattan calling the police on Black men for bird watching and doing normal things. Like, police should not be the first ones to call for every little situation.
There are more good cops than bad.
there's about 800,000 cops in America, right? Take me, for example, I usually handle about 10 to 20 calls. So on average, there's about 8 million police citizen encounters on a day-to-day basis. I don't think that a majority of us, or even half of us, are going around just messing people up, kicking people's ass, all that stuff. We're just trying to do the best that we can. Yes, there are some people out here who have nefarious reasons to becoming a cop. I don't think that's a majority of us. I see my partners on a day-to-day basis. I know my partners. I see how other people interact. I see from other states. I just have to say that most cops are good cops. Most cops are good people. That's just my experience. I can't speak for everybody else, but that's my experience.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's just like in the light we are right now, so many bad cops are being portrayed on this. And it's just like people are just seeing them all the bad cops. For myself, I've had more good experiences with cops than bad experiences. I can't say for everybody, but that's just been my experience. And I generally do not think all cops are bad or most cops are bad. In fact,
I think it's important to point out too that law enforcement is one of the only professions where one incident, we all get lumped into it. A teacher sleeps with an underage student. We don't go around saying all teachers are bad. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that law enforcement is one of the only professions that can restrict people's rights. If you look at the numbers alone, majority of police are having great, if not positive, encounters with citizens.
I do have a family member who is a cop, and of course I think she's a good person, but I think the whole, well, not all cops are bad, again, it takes away from the conversation. We all know that not all cops are bad, but the conversation we're trying to have is not all cops are good either. I had a friend who was raped by the cop. I mean, that cop is not in jail now. He's still working. She tried reporting it. Nothing happened. I just think, again, it's like a deflection strategy.
The reason why we get like, what the fuck, right? What did I do? It's because rhetoric. I'm not going to tell anybody how to speak, but rhetoric is very important, right? So when you say cops kill people, I've never killed anybody in my life, right? So you automatically have brought me into that conversation. So I'm like, no, not all cops bring people. I'm not trying to go away from the subject matter, but when you do a broad thing like that, because like I said, I'm like, damn, what?
This is not about good cop, bad cop. It's about that the system needs to be dismantled as a whole. It's about remembering how this system was built, the system of policing, right? And it was built to catch slaves. It's about the fact that you all work for institutions that continuously show up to hurt, harm. I was arrested at the age of 11. And even just thinking about that, right? Policing and young people being arrested and juvenile halls and all those things, right? All these systems. That's what policing is. Like, you're on the wrong side, and I'm also thinking about, I have a daughter too, and her father was severely beat by the police, by LAPD, went to court. The cop was not convicted of anything, but it was brought up that this specific officer had been also beating different people. Yet he was still in the field, he was still working, he was still getting paid. Policing as a whole and the system that is is like grabbing onto systemic racism, right? Because when you think about who are in these prisons, who are in these jails, who is in custody, you're talking about Black and brown people. So it doesn't matter if there's the Black cop, is the Latino cop, is the white cop. Like, if you're seeing the injustice going on in the departments, because I know you all see it in different levels, and you're not saying anything, and what can you really say, right? And that's I'm not done talking, Dorian.
I know, but
no, I'm not gonna stop talking for you. I'm not, because like, you all want to cover each other's asses or whatever, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, it wasn't one cop, it wasn't 3 cops that killed 948 people. It was several cops that have not been indicted by the district attorney or by anyone else. So why are we gonna keep the little narrative around good cop, bad cop? No, the whole system needs to go.
And see, this is the exact thing that I was talking about. I don't want to go back and forth, and I didn't mean to cut you off. That was I apologize for that. But the problem is you keep speaking for me, right? So now you said you know that. That's exactly what you said. You guys know this. You do, like, you don't know nothing about me. You don't know anything about me. I don't know anything about you, so I would never assert what I've gone through in my life on you. That's what you just.
I'm not talking about Dorian, because the question was not around you. The question was around good cop, bad cop.
That's what you said, though. That's why I said rhetoric is important, because that's what you said. You said all three of you guys know what I'm talking about.
Law enforcement, because that's what the question is centered around.
You can't. That's why I said rhetoric to me is most important, because we're having a conversation. You and I, Gloria. Everybody is here is having a conversation. So when you say you, I have never seen this before personally. I've never seen something like that, right? If I did, you damn right I would say something. I don't give a shit if I lose my job, okay? Because I got in this to do the right thing.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid when I see the police every single time, because I don't know what that interaction is going to lead to. I don't know if you are having a good day, because you all have more power in terms of power dynamics, whether you can escalate and whether because now I'm a threat for whatever. Maybe I might have said something. Maybe I have something. Maybe I made the wrong move.
You may be afraid because your experiences, that's fine. I'm not taking away from anything, but there's also other viewpoints, right? Not just yours. I respect your viewpoint, right? I would actually recommend, because you're afraid to go on a ride along to see what we do. You may not want to. I got you. I'm just saying, just to see, because people think I'm 30 years old, right? I've only been a cop for 7 years. That doesn't take my sense of humanity out of me just because I became a law enforcement officer, right? I'm not taking anything from anyone.
I think our country will make it through these divisive times.
I mean, I think we would. I know we will, because this is a stepping point for our country, and people are waking up and wanting a better nation for everybody, for all of us. At the end of the day, there might be bloodshed, there might be lives lost, there might be tears cried or whatever. African American people in this country been through 400 years of slavery. We've been through Jim Crow. We've been through the 60s. We've been through everything. So we definitely gonna make it through.
I think it starts with what we're doing here. It starts with communication. I think it turn off TV a little when it comes to being manipulated by the news, and things kind of die down. But what it really takes is not forcing somebody to see your view, but to actually communicate and come up with a solution, working with both sides. And I think if we do that, then we'll definitely be stronger from it. It's what we don't know that scares us. But when we open up and see other people's points of view and see how other people live and their expectations, I think we can get a lot farther.
I was a part of a protest they're called the New York City Students for Justice. And we're talking high schoolers who are 17 and 18-year-olds. They're organizing their own protests that thousands of people attended. It gave me a lot of hope, because I'm like, these kids are going to get far. I definitely think they're the future for our country.
You guys saying that gives me hope, because I guess I'm cynical. I think that I think we're going to destroy each other before that happens. You're right. The younger people, the younger generation are the future. And like Will said, it all starts with conversation. So I'm going to change my answer now.
So I'm sorry to be so negative, but I think all of us, law enforcement and the communities we serve, I think we want to work together. We need your guys' support to do our jobs. But the fact of the matter is, there's so much corruption out there at the higher levels, and I don't think it's going to change. I think the more that we communicate on our levels is really important, and it can somewhat keep the peace. But as a whole, things are not going to change until the higher ups start doing something about what's happening in America.
Yeah, I'm just really I want to acknowledge the fact that if these systems don't change, we will continue to be uprising. We will continue to have protests, have demands, have solutions. And I was really just remembering all the moms that I've heard had their loved ones or their sons killed by law enforcement. And what would they want to see? What justice do they deserve? Right? What justice does George Floyd deserve? Does Waukesha Wilson? Does Breonna? Right? Like and it's so many. What justice do they deserve? This is not gonna stop until we have change.
You guys are all great. I appreciate you. I'm gonna ask that you all log out and just kind of say goodbye to each other and close it.
It was
Hey,
great.
every one of you.
My guys.
For real.
Can I ask Gloria something though? Oh damn.
Everyone, you guys be safe.